Who do you think you are? The princess party's over. If you've ever seen Hot Air, global warming. Ah!
Ugh. Can I get a cup of black coffee, please? Nice mug. When I was a kid, everyone I knew cared about global warming. I haven't even heard about any recent substantial action taken to deal with the problem that I've been told is an existential threat to humanity. Furthermore, I've barely even heard about global warming at all lately, and much less about the negative human effects on the ecosystems that we inhabit. Take what's happening to the Chesapeake Bay. It's an area that my father's side of the family is from. It's my literal fatherland. Agricultural runoff, air pollution, there's chemicals in the water. It's being destroyed. I know the efforts of the Chesapeake Bay Foundation, but it feels like a losing battle. And it feels like the people in power are on the side of the destruction. I don't know why it's like this, and I don't know what to do. Why is it like this? Why me?
Alright, let's start out with us all getting along. This video is not gonna be one where I say, oh, okay? This isn't some kind of like debunk or like disproving or it's just not that kind of video, alright? If you're on the fence about global warming, wherever you are in your own mind on this issue, that's okay. I'm right here with you. I can't promise I agree with you on everything, but we're all here together, and I want to start this video off by agreeing on some things. Now, I've got my own video on, the trust the science kind of people, and there's also Mr. Beats' video about how do we know what's true. Mr. Beats' video is very interesting, and my video is a good supplement or complement. I think it fills in the places where he did not, where I kind of take the side more of the conspiracy theorists. So let's get this straight. We all care about the land that we stand on, right? In our own ways, we all care about the land that we're standing on. Is that correct? It better be. It better be correct. We all care about our countries and all that stuff. It's one of the reasons for the anti-immigrant right wing surge, right? It's like we care about our land and our culture, and that's the other reasons for that right-wing surge is like nationalist ideals about community, which I think some of them are valid, and then there's also just racism, which I obviously don't think is valid because I think that we should be liberal, but that's neither here nor there. I've also got a video called How to Implement the Labor Dollar, if you're interested. That one is the most important video that I've made on this channel so far. It's the most important concept of my political ideology. The point is, there's things that we can do to solve multiple problems at the same time. One of those problems being certain issues with the economy, the valuation of labor. In short, one of the things to do to fix the economy, for some quick evidence, I can cite the New Deal for this, is the government needs to create some jobs. They could be recycling jobs. I mentioned in my labor dollar video, composting jobs, because we don't compost enough. Well, and by the way, on this thing about compost, what happens is all the disposable vapes, the lithium from the batteries leaks out in the landfills and it poisons the earth. So if you're not composting, and if we keep this up forever, there's going to be no earth to farm on, okay? So we need to be able to compost. We also need to be able to recycle. We need to be able to clean up the trash. We literally need to be able to clean up the trash. There are programs. I'm not saying there aren't programs for cleanups, but we could do more. And stewardship, I mean, managing our forests correctly. I watched a report from Channel 5. Andrew Callahan interviewed like a firefighter, and he talked about like forestry and all the red tape. They want to have controlled burns, and they want to steward the land, but there's people getting in the way. And it's causing these massive wildfires, which are causing death and wildlife destruction, and it's terrible. And they want to do something about it, but they need more people and more funding and less red tape. And hell, sounds like a good idea to me. I mean, you're talking about creating well-paying, high-skilled jobs. That sounds good to me. That'll also save lots and lots of lives, like year over year. That sounds great. And importantly, if you don't believe in global warming, fair. I'm not judging. I'm seriously not. So I'm not saying you have to believe in global warming, but what I'm saying is you don't have to believe in global warming to say, damn, it'd be nice if there were some people out there working on those forest fires. It'd be nice if there were some people out there picking up trash and getting like the pollution out of the water. And it would actually be nice if like a recycling truck came to my house to pick up all the recycling. And it would actually be nice if like there was a community garden with like composted soil. Like all those things would actually be nice, regardless of what you believe about global warming. And there is the economic imperative to carry them out. We have to create jobs carrying them out. What I'm saying is, if we all agree that we care about the land, and if we all agree that we care about the economic conditions of the place that we live, two of the most moderate stances, then, well, hell, we should be creating jobs, taking care of the environment. Among other things, we should also be creating jobs building shit. Got a video coming out called How to Fix the Economy, where I'm going to get more into that. There's a few things we can do where it's not even a compromise. Either you are a polluter, like I don't know, you run an oil rig that's like leaking pipes or whatever the fuck. You don't want any regulation because you're a bad guy, and the regulation would stop you from being a bad guy. Or the other hand is you are one of these like economy focused, I don't really believe in climate change, I haven't seen it or whatever, you don't really believe in it. You would prefer the economy be good. And I'm saying, well, yeah, we can make the economy good, okay? And part of it is addressing the issues we have with the climate, all right? Now, there is like a more regulatory discussion. I'm going to be honest with you. I support some regulations on companies and industries, and we can have that regulatory conversation on another day. First, we got to agree on a few things. Number one, thermometers work. Thermometers work? Anybody put a finger down if you disagree. Thermometers work. Okay. The average temperature of the globe is rising year over year. Put a finger down if you disagree. It's pretty hard to disagree that the average temperature of the Earth is going up year over year if you agree with the first point, which is that thermometers work. That's because there are people who've been looking at the thermometer every day in every place on Earth, and they've been charting it, and you can easily calculate the average temperature in every place on Earth for every day of a year, and then look and see that the temperature is going up. It's not like science. It's not science. It's just using your eyes, using your brain, using your pencil, and thinking and looking and seeing. Well, thermometers work, and the temperature's going up. I think that's something you could call global warming. Could you call it climate change? I mean, maybe. To substantiate this point about the temperature rising, even if you don't believe in climate change or, woke science or whatever, have you ever been inside of a greenhouse? If you're feeling in denial about this, I recommend going to a greenhouse, because inside of a greenhouse, you can actually feel it's way hotter than outside of a greenhouse. The sunlight, what it does is it goes through the glass and it absorbs into the surface. Some of it is reflected away. Okay? The glass stops some of the light, right? Some of the light absorbs into the glass, right? In a normal situation where there's no glass, the light comes in, it absorbs into the land or whatever it hits, and then it bounces, and then the rest of it can bounce away freely. In a greenhouse, it goes through the glass, absorbs a little bit in, it hits the land or whatever is in the greenhouse, absorbs a little bit, and it starts bouncing away. And then it hits the glass, and it absorbs a little bit, bounces a little bit, and goes through it. You got more of the light is conserved in the greenhouse. So then you're asking, well, why isn't the greenhouse really bright, like when you shine a laser pointer at a bunch of mirrors? And well, actually, a lot of the energy in light is infrared, so you can't even see it, but you can measure it. You know those laser thermometer things with the trigger and you point it at something and it shoots a laser? Actually uses infrared sensing for heat. When the heat goes up, there's more infrared. You can kind of think of it like that. So if you're able to trap the infrared light using glass, you get greenhouse. Okay, but how does that apply to the whole globe? Well, I've got another thing you may have encountered in your regular life. If you've ever seen hot air, you know how there can be a shimmer? Like if there's a fire, it's like the air is shimmering. Okay? That can, if it was sustained and in if you could encompass the earth with that, whatever it is, it doesn't have to be hot air. It could just be any kind of like dense gas or something. I don't know. It could be something that has that shimmering effect. That has the same effect of the glass where the light can go through it, absorb into it. Yeah, absorb into the air. I'm serious. Bounces away. It goes through it a little bit, but it also absorbs into it again. Same as the greenhouse. It's actually called the greenhouse effect because it doesn't only happen in greenhouses. It's an effect that happens when you shine light through a surface that will refract it. So gas can act kind of like the glass in a greenhouse. And of course, we can debate over whether or not CO2 behaves like that. I'll let the scientists hash that out. Although it seems somewhat plausible considering the way that the Earth's temperature has been rising since we started burning fossil fuels, that maybe some of the gases released by burning fossil fuels, you can't see it because it's so diluted, but they're slowly depositing up there and it's getting worse and worse. And if you've ever seen smog, then you've seen thick contaminated air, and that has the same greenhouse type effect. I think you understand me. Thermometers work. The temperature of the earth is rising. I'm not here to convince you it's because of humans driving cars or whatever, but I'm just saying the greenhouse effect is real and all that. Number 3, humans in large number can have negative effects or even positive effects on the land we inhabit. Damn right we can. I mean, if you've ever seen somebody litter, that's a negative effect, in my opinion. That is subjective. Maybe you love seeing litter on the ground. Good for you. I think, and this is where I say I agree with the nationalists. Nationalist ideals about community would suggest that a nation should share an understanding of what constitutes positive and negative effects on society and the environment. So I'm saying you're my fellow countrymen. We're Americans. We care about the environment. We care about the ecology of the land that we inhabit because we're American, And you could say, oh, well, we're white and we're Christian and we're this and we're that. And I would say, well, not every American's been white since the beginning. Not every American's been Christian since the beginning. It's just not. I mean, a better foundation of our country is like John Locke, right? He wrote about how important land is, how we ought to conserve it. I know a lot of people really disagree with him, but you can't argue that he's not only the birth of American liberalism, but he also has nationalist tendencies that completely justify the claim that I am making, which is that nationalism would say we got to protect the environment. Even the Nazis cared about the environment. Can you believe that? Because they were nationalists. They took pride in the nation. So even if you're a Nazi, even if you're a racist, it is okay to care about global warming. In fact, you ought to. Because I'll tell you why. I'm going to pull up a graph. I wonder if you knew that I was using OBS the whole time to record this. This graph was sent to me as a way of saying, not that climate change is fake, but as saying look at how long the Earth has been around, and look at how hot it's been before, and it's been cold before, and look. This shit just happens naturally. Yes, the Earth heats up and cools down naturally. I want to get that right out front. That is a real thing. So I want you to look. This is 50 million years ago. So we've only been around when the line is blue. What does it mean that the line is blue? There is a world with polar ice caps. Which you can see here, when it goes from blue to red, it doesn't just slowly go down like in this. Or just go down a little bit and then a little bit more. What it does is it goes okay, I'm going blue. And it goes way down. Right here it goes way down. And when it goes back to red, it goes way up, way down, and then it stays in this like homeostasis, right? It dips a little bit into red there. I don't know what that's about. And then it goes way up to red. And then it goes zoom down to blue. And then back up. We've looked at this graph. We can see some of its behavior. Think about why does it plummet and skyrocket when the ice caps are forming? And that's because the ice caps do kind of the opposite of the greenhouse effect. What the ice caps do is they reflect the light back out rather than absorbing much of it. You still get the greenhouse effect acting with the CO2 in the atmosphere or whatever it is. However, with the ice caps, you get a lot of that light comes down and is bounced right back up. And yeah, some of it is absorbed in the atmosphere, but more of it exits the system. You have ice caps, you have stability. Now I also want to point your attention to, well, let's talk about, it goes way up really fast because once the ice caps start melting, that effect is lessened. And once the ice caps go away, it skyrockets. There's nothing reflecting the light back. There's nothing keeping the temperature stable. And I won't say nothing. Clouds reflect a lot of light, which we can talk about cloud seeding. Cloud seeding is a really interesting technology because clouds reflect a lot of light. The person who showed me this graph to say like global warming is not real or it's not something to worry about, they were saying like, look how hot it's been before. And I just want to draw your attention to the average global temperature in degrees Fahrenheit. When it's hot like this, let's draw around here. We're at 85 degrees F, okay? That's what it'll be if we lose the ice caps, give or take 50, 100 something years. I suspect that there's quite a bit of smoothing done in this graph. And anyways, the average temperature doesn't tell us what the peak temperature was that year. And there's a whole bunch of shit. Let's just say next year, the average temperature is 85 degrees Fahrenheit. I don't want to sound like I'm beating you over the head or anything, but this shit actually really scares me. It scares a lot of people, and that's why there's, I think, a lot of denial about it. If the average temperature was 85 degrees, then on a hot summer day, we're talking about your blood like boiling out of your body here. We are talking about people just collapsing regularly. We're talking about not being able to go outside on most days, okay? We're talking about a horrible, horrible, horrible end for most of humanity. The humans who do survive are the ones who are able to build refrigerated compounds. People who are able to build castles that can protect them against the fucking heat with giant refrigeration systems to keep it at like 65 degrees. We're talking about horrible conditions for the vast majority of humanity, including you watching this video. Like I said, I'm not trying to debunk or anything about climate change. I'm just saying, like, you can look at this, look at where we're headed, and think, damn, if there was a way to avoid that, like keep the ice caps, if there was a way to keep the ice caps, I would want to do it. That would be a good idea if we could keep the ice caps. Now, I already told you guys I'm not here to debunk anything. No more than I already have. I guess I lied a little bit, but not entirely, okay? Because I'm not telling you what to think. I'm not telling you what to think or what to believe. I'm just saying, like, well, there's some things we know. There's some things that we can agree on. No matter what, you're acting in bad faith if you're denying, like, the greenhouse effect. Because it's just... I mean, my dad just bought a greenhouse. I've been in it. It works. Trust me. Like, if you've never been in one yourself, that's okay. If you need to prove it, like, go to a greenhouse. Like, and you'll feel it. You will feel it. Then, okay, you've never seen a heat haze? Go ahead and light a fire in a wood stove and look at the heat haze that's above the wood stove, okay? Because it behaves the same way as the glass. And then just apply that. It doesn't have to be a heat haze. It could be any gas that absorbs light or refracts light. It's not hard to imagine that a gas could cause the greenhouse effect on a large scale across the globe. Whether or not humans are producing that gas is like pretty clear to me. It doesn't have to be clear to you because, like I said, there are things that we can do that are just no-brainers that would be good for the economy, like picking up damn trash, okay? Cleaning up the water, doing shit like that. If we want to tackle global warming, we're going to need to have a good approach. Climate change is a bad term for global warming, and it does not describe the human impact on ecosystems. It's like the monkey said from the intro, like, I'm making this video because I haven't heard people talking about global warming lately, or even climate change. I feel a need to talk about it because nobody fucking else is. Nobody's talking about global warming, at least not in my sphere.
I miss my grandparents, the parents on my dad's side. I mean, the ones from the Chesapeake Bay. They were two of the best people I've ever known. And all that's left of them is the land they lived on. You know? It's what they built on that land and what they did there. My grandpa, he was out on the bay, testing the water, trying to find out what was going on with the oyster blight at the time. And I mean, nobody's going to know his name. He's a person who did more for the Chesapeake Bay than most people from there. I mean that's safe to say. I don't know everything he was doing. I don't know the exact importance of it, but I know he was out there trying to solve the problems that faced the Chesapeake Bay even 20 or 30 years ago. And he contributed to the solution, or at least, partial reclamation of the ecosystem. And if he was fighting, like where's everybody else? I guess they work for the Chesapeake Bay Foundation. What I'm really talking about here, I'm happy for the Chesapeake Bay Foundation. I appreciate it. What I'm talking about here is the problem of popular support. It's these people, they're so concerned about the fall of Western civilization that they're refusing to see the actual fall of the land on which Western civilization is based. I mean, these areas are being ravaged by industry and neglected by the people in power who actually have the ability to pass regulations and preserve the land and rebuild the ecosystems. It's something that everybody who lives there, members of so-called Western civilization, white people who live there, country white who live there, it's something that would help them and that they would want. It would fill the soul-crushing depravity don't know what. I just don't know what's going to help.
So in part 1, we established that the globe is warming and why. It's the greenhouse effect. The greenhouse effect is the reason that the globe is warming. What is causing the greenhouse effect to increase in potency? I believe burning fossil fuels. Pretty much everybody believes it's burning fossil fuels. It's hard to deny that burning fossil fuels causes the greenhouse effect. The scientists who are saying that burning fossil fuels is not causing global warming, those are the scientists who are being paid by ExxonMobil, okay? Because they don't want renewable energy, guys, okay? They maintain their global status by being king of the oil. And the reason that it's so important and so powerful to be in charge of all the oil is because the United States dollar is backed by oil. The people in charge are the ones who own the fossil fuels and profit off of the burning of fossil fuels at the expense of all of us. They cause global warming because they hate us and they want us all to die and they want to profit off of us for as long as they can. It's not that hard to understand. I'm sorry. I know we all want to say like, it's not true. It's not true. Global warming is fake. Yeah. That's all well and good. I know you like Joe Rogan. Okay? But here we are. We got the army of the dead at our gates. Are you really going to be Cersei Lannister in this situation? You don't believe burning fossil fuels is causing global warming still. You realize you're behaving like Cersei Lannister, right? The army of the fucking dead, dude. Whose side are you on? You're really gonna shill for fucking ExxonMobil and say that the scientists are all bought? That global warming is a hoax to make you get woke? Seriously? What is the point of hoaxing us into global warming? Here's the one thing I can see. The one reasonable argument I can see for making global warming a hoax. And that is make people afraid. You can get people to vote for you, right? You can perpetuate your political power. And in that way, I would say, yeah, global warming and the denial of it have both been used to make people afraid. They've both been used to make people afraid and hijack democracy. I don't know what to tell you. You're not a conspiracy theorist anymore. You're just a shill. You're supposed to be critical thinking, outside the box, supposed to be the genius. Okay? Maybe the most outside the box thing is that the people in power are lying. Have you ever heard that one? ExxonMobil, Donald Trump, they're on the same team and they're bad guys. Have you ever thought of that? They're lying to us so that they can profit off of us and enslave us? Have you ever thought of that? Global warming is real and it's caused by the burning of fossil fuels. And I'm not gonna act like it's not anymore, alright? If that triggers you, you're a baby. This is about a real problem and actual solutions, okay? This isn't a fucking princess party anymore, alright? The princess party's over. Listen, second part of this video is going to be a little bit less organized. Second part of this shit. Alright, I'm pissed. I'm pissed off right now. Look, we're probably going to fucking die when the ice caps melt. Or shortly after that. I would say the fate of humanity is sealed when the ice caps melt. None of us know the future, but once the ice caps go, we've lost our major reflector of light, okay? The things that keep the globe cool. I showed you guys that graph. We went over that graph. You all saw the fucking graph. You can't act like you didn't see the graph from the last time. You guys saw the temperature go way up, okay? And it's not like I'm the only one saying this. We lose the ice caps, we lose the earth, okay? The army of the fucking dead is at our gates. All the Cersei Lannisters are out of the fucking room. It's you and me. You and me. What are we gonna do? Well, I don't know. Okay, I don't know what to do. I've got some ideas, but I'm not an expert. I'm going to say my ideas for what the government ought to do, but honestly, we need democracy and we need to fix the economy. These are big shits, all right? Fixing democracy in America, fixing the economy in America, these are the first two major roadblocks, okay? As individuals, compost, recycle, try to waste less. As individuals, we can't do much against the army of the dead. We have to rally everyone to our cause. You and I, the main way that we can help is by doing what I'm doing right now, okay? I don't feel like I'm helping. In fact, I feel incredibly helpless. So what am I doing? I'm raging. I'm talking about this shit. Steve Bannon said that we gotta flood the zone if we're gonna convince people to be racist. What he means by flood the zone is make a bunch of fucking YouTube videos and TikToks and everything and just control the fucking narrative, alright? So if we're ever gonna fight that control of them flooding the fucking zone, I'll tell you what you at home right now can do. Spread your fucking message. We gotta be saying the truth loudly and repeating it often. That is the only way. That is the only way anybody is gonna hear the fucking truth. Is if you and me and everybody we know says the truth loudly and often. Okay? The truth is a fucking greenhouse effect is causing goddamn climate change. It's causing climate change. So that's it. That's the main takeaway from this video. Talk about it. Talk about global warming. I'm begging you to fucking care. Global warming. Ah! Do I need to explain what the reason for my energy is? I've explained that the fucking end of the world is coming. Literally. Do you have access to a castle that you can build with a fucking refrigeration system? No. Only Mark Zuckerberg has that. Donald Trump has that. Okay. So you're gonna die. I don't want to fucking die of heat stroke. Look outside, bro. It is January. The weather isn't usually like this. It used to snow a lot more. And I'm not just like being a fucking boomer when I say that. It used to snow more because the earth used to be colder. I'm not gonna cite my fucking source for that. Now grow some fucking nuts. I'm serious. Grow some fucking balls. Alright. What can governments do? This is my not expert opinion. What governments can do is hire experts. But I got a few thoughts, okay? Some things I haven't really heard before. The first one is economic. We need to stop the subsidies for oil. That's not original. Thing is, in America, we subsidize the oil industry. It's like billions of dollars every year. It's a complete waste of fucking money, except what it does is it's the reason that gas doesn't cost $15 a gallon. You kind of need something. We rely on gasoline to get places, okay? I'm sorry, we do. My idea, shift those subsidies from the corporations with the CEOs who are taking, major cuts of profit, shift those subsidies onto the gas pump, like actually where the gasoline is vended. Gasoline's $15 a gallon. The government pays $13 for you. That's pretty much how it works already, except what happens is the oil industry CEOs take most of the money that the government gives them, and then they still raise the price of gas at the pump. I'm not actually, writing the subsidies bill. I don't think it's on me to hash out all the details, but I think that your local gas station could use the money a lot more effectively for your community than the CEO of an oil company. So we need to shift the subsidies as much as possible from corporations to actual point of sale subsidies, okay? So the government subsidizes your purchase of the gasoline rather than the oil industry's production of the petroleum. The value of oil is inflated, and if we ever want to stop running our economy off of petroleum, we need it to deflate down to an appropriate market price. The problem with that is that the United States dollar is backed by oil, so if the price of oil crashes, the entire economy crashes, and the United States dollar is the global reserve currency, so what would happen in that instance is either the entire world economy would collapse, which is a major problem, or they would just all divest from dollars and probably go to Chinese yen as the world reserve. I think that the United States should lead the world. I would like for the United States to maintain its financial advantage so that when the time comes to transition the earth over to a future economy with cryptocurrency and non-fungible tokens and all that technology stuff that all the tech bros are saying is going to revolutionize the world, it probably will. We just need it to have the right planning and implementation. In order to do that, if the United States is going to do it, then the United States needs to maintain its position at the head of global finance. I'm going to talk about how to fix the economy in my next video. If the price of oil deflates and the United States government has not done anything to replace the price of oil as a commodity backing the dollar, then there will just be major problems for Americans and most of the world. So what do we do about that? I have a good answer. Raise the fucking minimum wage, okay? The commodity that's backing the dollar should be labor, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about that in my next video, how to fix the economy. Subsidies shift from oil corporations to your local gas station. As much as possible, we need to stop the government funding of these petroleum companies. I do not care. I'm sorry. I don't care about them. They're causing the end of the world. We should just be funding renewable resources. We should not be wasting our fucking red cent on ExxonMobil. They've got enough money, they can do the shit themselves. At this point, if we're talking about economic controls of the petroleum industry, if I was the president, I would make a deal with the oil companies. I would say, listen, we're going to establish a maximum wage for the oil industry, and in exchange, you can keep some of the subsidies. That's a good deal, because we want to set a precedent that the government can set maximum wages for crucial industries, because honestly, it's either that or nationalization long term. I would really like to go back to a system where we can directly control the price of oil, which President Jimmy Carter is the guy who made it so that oil could have a market price. As presidents go, he wasn't. A bit of a disappointment, I gotta say. Whatever. I really believe the United States can lead in renewable energy. We spend so much money on fossil fuel subsidies. Put some money into renewable energy. Whenever I hear a fiscal conservative saying that the government can't fund things because it's going to raise inflation, printing money that does nothing in the economy is really, really, really bad for growth, and it causes inflation. When we print money for war, it only benefits the warmongers, and it causes inflation. So here's my big idea. We fund the military less, and instead of benefiting the warmongers and causing inflation, we benefit, I don't know, the whole earth and cause economic growth, okay? Because growth counteracts inflation. All right? We create jobs maintaining the environment. It's not fucking rocket science. I'm sorry. I'm not smarter than anybody else, okay? But there's a lot of people who are doing the wrong fucking thing, all right, in the government. I'm not the first guy to say, fund the military less and fund a good thing more. We have bad people in the fucking government. There's bad guys in the government. Literal fucking Nazis right now. I'm serious. There's literal fucking Nazis right now. They run society. They control society. They're lying to you. They're lying to you, trying to convince you that it's fake. They want you to believe it's fake, and they want you to believe that I'm the one being lied to. I'm not being lied to. I don't need to have a PhD motherfucking D to understand that global warming is real, and it's a clear and present danger, and the people in charge are trying to maintain the global hegemony so that they can keep making money and keep enslaving us, and then when they don't need us, they want us to die. When they can replace us with AI and robots, they want us to die. They want us all to die of heat stroke when they replace us with fucking robots. You want me to be the first one to fucking break it to you? Oh my God! Can you get over yourself for a second? You think you're the one to realize, oh, they're lying. Global warming is not real. It really did used to snow this much all the time. It never really snowed that much. Ha ha ha! It always used to rain in January. When I was a kid, we didn't get snow until January. And I'm not making that up. I'm not crazy. You're crazy. You're crazy. I'm not making anything up. Who do you think you are? Who do you think you are? Okay, I got one other big idea. First, an intro to cloud seeding. Do y'all remember, I think it was 2023 or 2024, it was a really, really hot summer. If you're in Virginia, it was a really fucking hot summer. Most of the world, you probably know. I think the ocean temperature rose by like 3 degrees that year, and scientists were scratching their heads. They were like, why did it get so hot all of a sudden? We've known about global warming, but why did it get so hot all of a sudden? Now, what happened that year is they actually banned a kind of fuel that they were burning in container ship, okay? The container ships were burning this fuel. It was basically like the bottom of the totem pole of like fuel refining. So like when you're refining petroleum, like the best kind of fuel goes to the jets, as jet fuel, and then like gasoline for cars or whatever, and that the bottom tier of fuel was being burned in these container ships because, I don't know, just because it was cheap, and the engines are maybe big enough that you could like burn the gross fuel and like be easy to clean or whatever. This fuel, it had sulfur crystals in it, or the exhaust had sulfur crystals in it as a byproduct of it being burned to propel the ship forward. Okay, all right, not rocket science, just boat science. Sulfur crystals are expelled into the air from the exhaust, and what they do is they attract, or they create, or they what's called seed clouds. Okay, so the clouds form around the exhaust of these ships. The clouds that these ships are making, trailing behind them, they're bright white, same as the ice caps. So they reflect a lot of light. So actually burning this gross, disgusting fuel in the container ships was getting a lot of cloud coverage over the oceans where it wouldn't have normally formed. Pretty interesting. And the cloud coverage was doing such a good job reflecting the sunlight and shading the oceans that it was actually causing a noticeable cooling effect. So they banned this fuel that year. They didn't know all this about the clouds, okay? They banned the fuel, and they were like, what? How did it get so fucking hot? The clouds went away because the sulfur crystals stopped going into the air. Luckily, you want to make clouds to cool down the earth? You don't actually have to burn a disgusting fossil fuel. You can just take a big fan, right? Put it out on the salt water and blow it into the air as mist, okay? The salt crystals will go into the air and seed clouds, okay? Same as the sulfur crystals, except it's not a pollutant, it's just salt, all right? So that's actually wonderful. That's wonderful. Wonderful news, we can make clouds. So the problem is Dubai tried this. You remember when Dubai was flooding? Hey everybody, Editing Huey here. I'm about to explain in the video about Dubai's flooding and how it was caused by cloud seeding. I've seen some conflicting testimonies on that, so I just want to say it's not necessarily a fact that Dubai was cloud seeding and caused the shit. I'm talking out of my ass here. I hope you guys enjoy the video anyways. A while ago, that was because they seeded a bunch of clouds, and because they're in a desert and it's all paved, so they don't have drainage because they don't expect rain because they're in a desert. The rain came and that shit was flooded as fuck. So cloud seeding is not going to save us, right? Because we can't just make a bunch of clouds and cover the earth in a blanket of clouds, and then the earth will cool down like crazy, and then we'll have this fucking like snowstorm like in Snowpiercer. We can't be doing crazy weather experiments, all right? What Dubai taught us is that we have to be responsible, but what those ships burning that fuel taught us is that cloud seeding is a powerful tool to actually deal with climate change. So my idea, my big idea in the Southwest, right? The Pacific Ocean off the coast of California, I think we should be seeding clouds there because the Southwest is currently undergoing the worst drought in its history, I'm pretty sure. There's like dried up lake beds. The Great Salt Lake in Utah is at its lowest it's ever been. The Southwest of America is in need of more rainfall, and it's also really fucking hot there. For me, it's like, why don't we experiment with cloud seeding on a mass scale on the southwest coast of America? See if we can get some clouds going, see if we can get some rainfall in that area, and, you know, try to strike a good balance, a way that actually helps the people, it replenishes their water sources, and cools down the environment. I mean, it sounds like a good idea to me. You know, I'm no expert, but it's like, it seems to me like the main issue here is red tape. That's what I've heard in the discussion over cloud seeding is like, it's awesome, but the only reason Dubai was able to do it is because it's just a bunch of fucking rich people doing whatever they want, and it caused this major problem, and so nobody really wants to touch the technology anymore. We have people who actually have some good ideas for how to replenish some of these ecosystems and actually steward the earth using technology, but there's so much red tape, and yet they keep burning the fossil fuels anyways. No red tape around that. So I don't know, guys. We're at the end of the video. I want to thank you guys again for watching this far. The main takeaway from this again is it's called global warming. We're going to lose the ice caps, and that is the apocalypse, okay? And 2, we need to flood the zone. The third takeaway, you should watch my next video, How to Fix the Economy, where I talk about how to fix the economy. Whatever. Nobody's going to watch this video anyways. The army of the dead is upon us. There is nothing that we can do except for rally the forces and prepare for the fight. Thanks for watching my video, guys. I really appreciate it. I've been ranting for so fucking long, I'm probably going to cut it down to like 5 minutes.